United we're as strong as a mountain. United we're as deep as the sea.
Hi, my name is Brenda Barrows. I'm a chapter president out at SEIU1021 at San Francisco General Hospital.
So what's happening today?
Today we're here because it's reaching a point to where it's unbearable anymore. As the chapter president, over the last 2 weeks, I've gotten at least 20 calls from employees who are all having the same issue of being bullied and harassed by their management, and it's got to a point to where we just can't let this continue. I know that they have different things. I know the city tried to come up with a fairness policy to deal with all of those issues that fall in between when people don't meet the legal terms of discrimination, but definitely are suffering from certain things. And for some reason, the unions have refused to sign off on it. So I guess they're making in their mind that, because one of their members may be an abuser, that they're just willing to turn the other cheek and let it go. I totally reject that. I think that our role as union people is to protect the people from abuse. And if we have members that are abusing, then it's the union's obligation to deal with those members.
And the issue of bullying, you've been dealing with it for many, many years here at General Hospital. Are you saying nothing has changed?
I'm saying there have been bits and pieces of change, but overall, no. I think the amount of people that are contacting me about being mostly discrimination, and most of them are black people, unfortunately.
Talk about this discrimination. What do you mean when you talk about discrimination?
Well, when I say discrimination, it's like, say you're on a unit. There are 4 people working on a unit. 2 of the people are black and 2 of the people are something else. All the special assignments go to the other person. The manager doesn't listen to the 2 black employees. In my respects, that's discrimination. And it gets complicated because the person doing the discrimination is Latino. And so his attitude is, because I'm a minority, then I can't possibly be anti-black. And that is totally wrong and totally wrong and totally wrong. Anybody can be anti-black. Even some black people can be considered anti-black. It's about your attitude and how you treat people and the respect level you have for black people. That's what it's about, and that's what seems to be missing a lot.
And there's also the situation of the porters and what's happening with the porters.
There's a situation of the porters where they have one employee that has consistently, they've complained about it, they've done all this, they've complained over and over to all the right people, and yet nothing seems to happen. As once again, like I said, the abuser is still abusing, and nobody's doing anything about it. And it's getting to the point to where it's unbearable. And this is a person that is unfortunately black. And just because they're black, they should not be getting a pass on being abusive to people. I don't think anybody, I don't approve it from anyone. Nobody should be abusing other people in the workplace. Nobody.
If the city knows about it, if management knows about it, if city officials, the management of the Department of Public Health know about it, and they're not doing anything when it's reported, why isn't the union filing a federal lawsuit? Because discrimination is illegal.
That is a good question, and that goes back to my point before, Steve. In many ways, because it's about union members, quote unquote, the union is complicit because they don't want to go after one union member against another union member. But if that union member is an abuser, they're being neglectful of all the other employees that have to come into contact with the individual if they don't do something to talk to that person to get them to change their behavior. I believe that people should be given an opportunity to change their behavior, but if they don't, then I don't think they should get a pass just because they're a union member.
There have been hearings, a lot of hearings in the city. Black employees and other employees have testified about bullying, harassment, illegal discrimination, and there have been court cases. Millions of dollars, over $70 million have been spent by the city for illegal discrimination. It seems like it's still going on.
Yeah, it's going to be more. Because like I said, there's all these cases. Everybody I know that's black, half of them, are looking for attorneys right now because it's unbearable. I mean, we can't keep living like this. We can't keep being in this environment. It's harmful for the people. And it's not just black employees. We have a guy who just died from it. So we had he was a gay, older white male. His name is Mike Polyak. He worked in the Richard Fine People's Clinic. He had a change in management. All of a sudden, he started being harassed. He got to the point to first he had a mild stroke. Then he came back after 6 months of working, and then he got a severe, massive stroke, and then a few days later died. The department, as far as I'm concerned, played a role in his death because when he went to them for help, they would not help him. And matter of fact, the management in his department escalated the attacks. So there are consequences to this, and it has to stop. You know what I mean? Because people are literally dying from this. And for the department to turn its head, and what really bothered me is I was listening to the Health Commission, and Grant Colfax was talking about an employee that died from DPH, and he didn't mention Mike. So, you know, it's outrageous. And I'm sure he didn't mention Mike because he knew Mike had a lot of complaints on the department, and they didn't do anything about it. And I don't know, maybe it was guilt why he didn't mention him. I don't know why, but those are the kind of things that we're dealing with.
And also there's a struggle at Laguna Honda. They've been cutting back on the beds. There was a rally there. That is needed by the people of San Francisco, especially black, brown people, poor people who need a place for skilled nursing. Why is it such a difficult thing to keep that thing going?
Well, I think they're doing what they can. They're doing a lot of changes in management at Laguna Honda. We're about to lose one of our pastors here, Reverend Trammell, to go over to Laguna Honda to set up the same kind of structure we have here at General at Laguna Honda. So they are trying to do different things. My hope is that they will do enough to keep it open. I know that a lot of politicians have been supportive, but maybe the communication to the regular workers has not been great because half the people that I know that work for the city, they don't know what's going on in Laguna Honda.
So there's no communication really of what's going on?
Not a whole lot, no. I heard that there was a conference that Colfax had with everybody, but I couldn't get in. So, and I know other people I talked to, they couldn't.
You're the president of the chapter here of the SEIU.
Into that conference, I don't know what it was. Maybe they had too many people, but they said they had over 1,000 employees. That's what they reported. But you know, that information still has not gone out everywhere. Whatever.
There's a communication issue, just getting the information.
Yeah. So the communication is not great. I guess them having that town hall was a good first attempt. But if they're going to do that, they need to have a system that's working so that everybody can get in and listen and have what they want heard and have their questions answered.
And there's a resolution at the Labor Council around Laguna Honda. It's been discussed and debated. What has the Labor Council done about mobilizing people and bringing the entire labor movement together to keep Laguna Honda?
I think the labor movement in the beginning did have a big rally at Laguna Honda, and they are pretty much united. All laborers, they're doing that. So I just think that it's a lot to do. There's so many competing for things going on right now. But I think that labor is behind, and if we need them really at Laguna Honda, I think they'll be there.
Hi, my name is Tabori Wright. I'm a 2903 hospital eligibility worker at San Francisco General Hospital. I work in a 3M clinic. For as an African American woman, I've experienced a lot of racial discrimination. I've been yelled at by my manager, yelled at twice by my supervisor. I've had my work assignments semi-sabotaged. I've been fighting to get proper training, and that's been a fight. I've also been advocating for myself to get a schedule change because I work from 9:30 to 6. And I've been asking for earlier shift in my department. That's been met with a fight. I'm at a minimum level for doing my work duties. I am not at full capacity where I should be, like my other non-African American employees. I'm far behind.
How long has this been going on?
This has been going on since I started, and it's been about 2 years. Yeah, it's been about.
You think that they're targeting black employees?
It's a lot of African American employees that's being targeted. You know, you can ask any African American employee. It's the issue all the time. With me, I can speak for myself. It has always been an issue. You know, and I feel like I enjoy my work. I want to be good at my work, but in order to be good and effective at my work, I need proper training, and I haven't got that. You know, I've been met with a lot of handouts, but what is handouts when you can't get the actual hands-on training and the actual classroom training that's supposed to be given to you? You know, I was gone off of workman's comp for 9 months. It was a struggle to get training. I had my coworkers, non-African American coworkers, to ridicule me, have me at my desk crying because management failed to train me. And management pushed me on my coworkers and wanted them to train me without them even acknowledging what was going on. You know, and these are the type of things that I have to deal with, and I think it's just unfair. And I wish London Breed, Mr. Colfax, and all the higher ups really do something about it, because it doesn't make sense. Why does all the African American employees have to go through this?
You think they're trying to drive African American employees out of?
Yes, because when I started here at General Hospital, there were a lot of African American employees. They are gone or moved on to different departments or retired. You know, and I feel like I'm getting pushed out. That's why I'm getting the bare minimum.
What do you think the union should do about it?
The union really needs to sit down with higher ups and need to come to some agreement. And I think for management, they need to go to some type of training, because if a manager is of another race and she yells at you because you're African American and she has an issue with that, then she shouldn't be in that position. I'm a reflection of her. If I don't know my job duties and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I make her look bad as a manager. Because when the numbers come up, why are the numbers low? Why doesn't this employee know what she's supposed to be doing? You know, so that goes to show what's going on with your management skills. And then not only that, her manager as well. I'm making them look bad.
Do the managers know about what's going on?
They know about what's going on, and I feel like I'm being set up to fail. You know, and I'm not going to give up without a fight, because it doesn't make sense. We want to work just like every non-African American employee here. We want to work. We want a paycheck. We want to take care of our family. A lot of us enjoy our jobs. You know, we just want to be treated fairly, and we're not being treated fairly, and it doesn't make sense. And I feel like if you have a racial issue and you're in management, any kind of management position, or even a coworker, if you got a race issue, you need to leave it at the front door. Because when you come into this place, we deal with all nationalities and cultures from every walks of life. So if you can't deal with your coworkers and you can't deal with the patients, then you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here, none whatsoever. Because we get everything that walks through this door. You know, and it doesn't make sense. How is it that I have coworkers that want to dictate my job duties and my assignments? For example, we answer the phones. Well, the supervisor says for everybody answer the phones, but I get calls forwarded to me, you know, and I take my break. I have the MEAs tell me that my coworker tells them that I'm supposed to answer the phones. That's my job duty. Wait till she comes back from her break and she'll answer the phone. Well, why you can't answer the phone? You sitting there. If I'm not around, then answer the phone and take the message. You know, it's tiresome. Enough is enough already. You know, and I hope London Breed or whoever hears this or whoever here, they need to do something about it, because all across city and county employees, the racial discrimination is bad. is really, really bad, you know, and stop trying to run us out. We want to work. We want to make an honest living. You know, there's a lot of us that want to work. We're not out here robbing and stealing or causing chaos. We're trying to do a hard day's work and take care and support our families. Why we can't be treated, you know, with the same respect as they treat these other non-African American employees? Why do I have to, as an employee, got to struggle? Why? Why I got to struggle? Why I got to cry? Why I got to be upset? Why I got to be talked to crazy? But then when I try to say something back, I get met with retaliation. So I'm tired. I had enough of it. And it's just not right.
Okay, Mike Polyak was hired a few years ago. At the time, I was one of the people in the hiring panel. At the time, you know, I kind of saw that there was this age discrimination because he was an older gentleman. And I just felt like, you know what, I'm sure he'd been going to interview after interview after interview and nobody would hire him because of his age, so we hired him. So he was doing fine until they had a new change in management and I was removed from the clinic. So what happened is this scheduling, this new task that they line people up to do, Mike was not allowed to do that work on a daily basis. But then later on, people complained because they assigned him to do menial tasks and didn't allow him to do the real eligibility. And then all of a sudden they had a change in management again, and then all of a sudden they wanted to just throw him in with no training. So I helped him fight to get different training, but he really was extremely felt a lot of pressure and harassment and undermined by the new management who didn't know him, didn't give a damn about him, and all they did was make his life miserable, to the point to where he had a mild stroke. He came back, and then instead of them, you know, easing him into the job, he asked for training. They were trying to deny him training, saying he didn't need any more training. I had to fight with HR just to get him a regular training program to make sure that he got what he needed. Unfortunately, Mike didn't make it because, you know, last Saturday he had a massive stroke and he died. So I just think that all this harassment that's killing people, and that nobody wants to talk about it. The city doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to do anything about it that I see, because I don't see any change to stop it. And as a matter of fact, I see it escalating with people, more and more people.
Sounds like a crime.
To me, it's criminal how he was treated. To me, it's criminal how that man was treated, and how many people were in cahoots. You know, was
the top management here aware of that?
Well,
Who was aware of it?
Everybody was. Robert Panetta was aware of it. The HR was aware.
Who in HR?
What's her name? I'm sure Dan Hoffer was aware of it. Another guy, David Rich, he was the main one, because they even tried to just walk into his office, have a practice manager put his hand on his arm on his hand on his arm and say, "You're going with me to HR," which was totally illegal, to where I had to get involved to stop that too. But
they're trying to terrorize him.
He was definitely felt terrorized. He has voiced that to me many, many times about he feels terrorized. I mean, this is a grown man to be coming to us in tears frequently. You know, it would get so bad he would come to us in tears. You know, this is not normal. And I don't know.
And Mayor London Breed, Mayor London Breed.
I don't know if it's because he was gay, but for some reason he was targeted.
Is that bullying and terrorizing people?
Absolutely, it was bullying and terrorizing.
Mobbing, they call mobbing employees.
Yeah, that's mob bullying. Mob bullying, right? Where they do all that. And then they had they tried to put him over with a lady named Nancy Huerta. All I've heard is complaint from employees about her, and nothing happens to her either. So it's almost like they've given these people a license to abuse.
To sabotage them.
And they're not willing to do anything about it. Matter of fact, they may be putting them up to it to do their dirty work. That's the way I feel.
What should happen to end this kind of treatment?
What has to end this kind of treatment is for management to truly be held accountable. And I mean truly. And for employees that abuse to truly be held accountable. Because right now, it's really selective as to who gets accountable. Most of the people I know getting held accountable, guess what? They're black. But when these other people do the same thing, no, they don't get disciplined. They don't get written up. They don't get fired. They don't get terminated.
Sounds like the plantation.
It feels like a plantation. It really feels like we're working in a plantation. That's the mentality, right? The mentality is shut up, you black people. You should just be happy you have a job. I even heard somebody from the union say that. So I don't know how much help that is, right? If the union has that mentality and they're the ones who are supposed to be protecting people, you know, they're putting us in a position where we have to fight on our own. And more and more people are getting attorneys, and people are just deciding to just sue the city. When it shouldn't even have to go to that, if they would just deal with problems.
SEIU1021 is a big union, over 60,000 members.
Right.
Rutherford is the president, just became president from Joseph Bryant.
Right.
She knows what's going on. Has she been informed?
She knows what's going on, but one of the things that bothers me is she was one of the people that says dealing with racial issues is not a priority of the union. And I think that is what has made the unions complicit in all of this, because they refuse to deal with them. Because they have members who aren't black, right, that they might offend, but they don't care how much the black employees get.
Isn't it the case when you fight for the black employees, you fight for all employees?
Absolutely. When you fight for one, you fight for all. But when you're being targeted as a black person, and the person targeting you is not black, and they're a union member, they won't do anything. They won't. They'll tell you, oh, well, that's member on member, we're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything about it. And that's why the environment has gotten so bad, because labor management is not doing anything about it. The unions don't really want to do anything about it until forced. So what happened is you have all these people walking around in these hostile work environments, and they say things to people like, well, just apply for another job. You know what? It ain't so easy for a black person to just jump up and get another job.
Just go someplace else.
Because then you have employment discrimination issues that you have to deal with anyway. That's one of the major issues in the city as it is. It's hard for black people to get hired in certain jobs. And so you can't really just jump up and go get another job. If I was white, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could just jump up and get another job. But it's not so easy for a black person to just jump up and get another job, especially if you have a decent paying job. You're not going to get another decent paying job just like that. Because in most cases, like with every other employer, they're not hiring black people. And they certainly aren't hiring black people with age. So you know, that's just a false thing that they're putting out, false narrative they're putting out to make you believe that that's possible, when we black workers know the reality that it's BS. It's strictly BS. You can't just tell me to jump up and get another job. It is not that easy, if you're black, to just jump up and get another job.
Joe Alioto, Veronese. I'm running for district attorney.
The mayor has said that, you know, she's handling it, but it seems like it's endemic, it's systemic here, right here in General Hospital in San Francisco.
Well, it's the problem with identity politics in San Francisco. The mayor is saying that she's doing one thing, but in fact, we know that the opposite is actually happening. My law firm is handling many of the cases that are coming out of here. Discrimination has been mishandled by the city and county of San Francisco for years and years and years, and until we get some sort of real leadership in there that's going to stand up for the people that work here, the hardworking people that work here, you know, we're not better serving San Franciscans by not serving these people.
Well, I mean, why do you think it's the case that the employees here who are discriminated against have to hire private lawyers to get justice when they have a union?
Well, it's because the city is not serving them, and the union is not using their rights as in the proper type of leverage.
What could the union do?
Well, the unions have leverage, you know, that's what unions are about. They're about collective bargaining. They're about standing together. So, I mean, eventually it'll come to a head where all the unions stand up for them because what's happening here is absolutely unacceptable.
And it's federal law violation to systemically discriminate against black, brown, or Asian workers. Could the union file a lawsuit about that?
I mean, absolutely. They could be a part of the lawsuit, but I think the real power is with the individuals. I mean, that's what we found. I've been a civil rights attorney for 22 years now, and we very rarely represent the unions themselves. The power is really with the power when you get in front of a jury is really with the individuals. I mean, that's where the jury wants to hear from, and they have the personal stories about how they've been discriminated against. So I think that's the critical story that needs to be told.
Well, the city has spent out $70, $100 million to lawyers, to illegal discrimination. The city is hiring attorneys to fight you and other lawyers.
That's right.
On discrimination. So the taxpayers of San Francisco seem to be paying the cost of this.
Well, they are additional parties that are losing here are the taxpayers. When you don't deal with racism, you come from one of the most progressive cities, allegedly in San Francisco, but then you're failing at some of the most progressive actual values, and that is equality. And when you're failing at that, you're costing the taxpayers dollars, and you're really not paying attention to. We're talking here about workers who care for the people that come into these hospitals, and some very vulnerable people. So if you're not taking care of them, you're not taking care of the vulnerable people that are in these hospitals. I've always said, when I was police and fire commissioner in San Francisco, if I take care of my members, the police and the firefighters specifically in my most recent term as fire commissioner, if I'm not taking care of them, they're not being able to better take care of the people, the city and county of San Francisco. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. But basic values, basic rights, human rights that are being overlooked here is just intolerable.
Well, the city attorney Herrera and now Chiu, they're the ones spending money, our money, the taxpayers' money, to fight these lawsuits. The Board of Supervisors are approving these settlements, and there's no accountability of the managers who actually carry out the illegal activity. It seems like that this process is going on unmet, unchallenged. I mean, when they approve the settlements, when the City Attorney Chiu is defending illegal actions by managers, they're actually condoning these actions, aren't they? That
happens every day, absolutely. But the blank check mentality that's happening at the Board of Supervisors now with our close to $15 billion budget is a very good canary in the coal mine of how we are not paying attention to the real issues that are happening here. In a lot of cases, when the settlements come through, people would pay attention. They would start to use those as metrics for issues that are going wrong within the city. They're just not paying attention because they keep spending money. They've got this blank check mentality that is not hurting them. And not until there's a really big verdict. That's what we do. We're all about the big verdicts. Not until there's a really big verdict do they start paying attention. And we'll get there eventually, and it's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, the city attorney is spending this money, and the supervisors are voting for these settlements unanimously, and the managers who carry out these illegal activities get promoted. Where's the accountability?
They just don't care, Steve. They just don't care. It's not their pockets. It's not their money. They're just spending and spending and spending to cover up a problem and not actually solving the issue. I mean, we just have to, you break it down to just not caring. And that's where we are. And how do you get people to care? Typically, it's big settlements. Typically, it's that kind of thing. You get them to pay attention. In this particular case, the union's going to have to stand up. They're going to have to strike. They're going to have other unions come together with them in solidarity, and we're going to have to slap them with a huge judgment.
Nikki Callahan was the previous HR director. She was at a hearing that I was at where she said she didn't know what was going on. There was no discrimination. And she was allowed to retire. There was systemic discrimination. HR under the mayor is carrying out, apparently, according to these workers, the same policies. So there seems to be no change in the treatment of the workers here.
That's right. Nikki should have been a signal that was loud and clear that there's systemic problems in this within the city family organization. She wasn't. They just brushed her under the table, under the rug. They let her go with a a cush retirement, and now it's business as usual. So
Carol Isen took over. Carol Isen was aware of what was going on, wasn't she?
they're all aware of it. The mayor's aware of it. We spell it out in words and letters and lawsuits. I mean, and they're served with these documents. Everybody's aware of this. They just don't care. That's what it comes down to.
So they know what's going on, and their just attitude is,
You got to make them care. How do you do that? You've got to put the unions together in solidarity. You got to strike. You've got to hit them with big judgments, and you got to throw them out of office. As my grandfather used to say, throw the bums out of office, and then we clean up San Francisco. We rescue it. We take it back. We start standing up for workers' protections.
My name is Ingrid Cobb. I'm Vice President of General San Francisco General Hospital.
so you're here today to talk about some of your concerns that you have around systemic racism and the issues of the workplace. What is going on at General Hospital for the employees, and particularly the black employees?
Yes, I've been retaliated. I work in food and nutrition. I've been retaliated constantly against my union activities, and I've had to go through being written up. I've had to go to arbitration to win my cases, and the director, she's very upset. She doesn't want me to have any union activities, and due to that, she retaliates.
This is supposed to be illegal to retaliate against people who are union. You're a union steward. You're vice president of the San Francisco chapter, SEIU General Hospital chapter of SEIU1021. Why do they think they can get away with this stuff?
I don't know why they think they can get away with it, but it's very frustrating. I shouldn't have to come to work and be targeted every other day about something because she's not happy. She doesn't like union activity. She doesn't like union activity. There's a difference between black and brown employees, and nothing is done about it. It's okay for one group, but not okay for another group. And the minute you speak up about it, here comes the retaliation.
And you think they're doing this purposely?
Yes. It's been going on for 5 years since she's been here.
And does management know about this?
She is management.
Do the CEO or the Department of Public Health? I mean, there's a Department of Public Health Commission.
They all know about it. We've had rallies, we've had hearings, we've had petitions, we've been to the office, and nothing is being done. It continuously gets worse every day.
What is the effect that has on you and others? I mean, to be basically harassed and bullied because you're doing your job as a union leader here in SF General.
Well, the effect it has on me is very stressful. At once, I used to like to come to work because I like my department, but now I don't like to come to work because we have a director that don't know how to be a director and don't know how to be a leader of a department, and it's very hard. And all of SEIU members that work in food and nutrition are very upset. They angry. Why? Because of our leadership, our director.
What's his name?
Her name is Katie Merriman.
How long has she been director?
5 years.
And if the administration knows about what she's been doing, this illegally harassing union stewards and union officers, you think that's union busting that they're involved in?
Yes, it's very much union busting.
The city says it's not anti-union, but what you're saying is what's going on is anti-union.
It is anti-union. You know, like I was supposed to be released one day and she wanted to know why I had to be released and sent out this long email for a reason not to release me because it was union activity.
But you have a legal right to get off work to represent your members.
Yes, I do.
Should she be fired?
Yes. That would be a blessing.
Well, it sounds like she's blatantly trying to break the union by getting rid of the people who are representing the union. If you're being harassed, what does that mean to other workers who have complaints. They're afraid to raise them, and is that the idea?
Yeah.
You intimidate?
They don't want to say nothing because they're scared of retaliation. And I've said that so many times. We go into the office and talk to the big managers, and I say, oh no, they're not going to say nothing because they don't want to be retaliated on.
You agree with that, Brenda?
I think people are afraid to speak up. People are very afraid to speak up because one of the reasons that people are afraid to speak up is because when they speak up and they see nothing happening and nothing gets better, then they feel like, why should I even bother speaking up, because they're not going to do anything about it. You know, there's only a few people that, you know, keep it going, keep complaining, keep talking about things. And when you're that person, you are targeted. You know, everybody, most of the black employees I know at this hospital have been through discrimination. And I'm talking about from all levels at one point or another. I know I have, and I know the impact it's had on me. And I really keep fighting because I don't want to see this happening to anybody else. I mean, it's time for this crap to stop.